I'm Rick Becker. I'm in the Pacific Northwest region of PCA, and I'm the 912 and 912E register advocate for PCA. We currently are driving our 66 Polo Red Patina 912 coupe. I also have a 68 912 soft window Targa, but these days the coupe's getting all the attention. The 912 was originally considered as a model about 1963. Porsche wanted to keep a car in their model range that was affordable and in the same price range as a 356. The first year, the 912 sold 2-to-1 against the 911. It has a lot of parts right out of a 356, including like trim and gear shifts and that sort of thing. It's the first car I ever purchased. I got it in June of 1977. Was out of school and I wanted to get a sports car, and we had never had a Porsche in the family. My brother found a 911T, and it was for sale where he worked, and he called me up, and I could not afford it. I was right out of school. But my coworker, my pal, had sat right next to me, and I didn't even know he had a 912. I told him what happened, and he said, well, if you buy my car, I'll buy that one, and that's exactly what happened. I do know that my friend I bought it from lived in a hot climate, and I suspect it was left outside all the time, and the UV just beat on it. And when I got it, it was already patinaed out. And again, I couldn't afford a paint job, so I got some wax, and I started applying coats of wax on it, and I actually got it shiny and actually worked some depth into it. But then when I bought my Targa, it got parked in the family garage, and for years didn't apply any more wax to it. 912 started production in April 1965, and this was built in March '66. So even though it's a '66 model, it's within the first year, so there's a lot of things about it that are very, very original to it. So everything that I changed on it mechanically was an upgrade, and it might not have necessarily been original, but if it was better than new, then I would do it. Porsche is about performance, so starting with the performance aspects, it weighs about 200 pounds less. That's the difference in weight of the engines, and because of that, the weight balance is shifted forward. When the 911 912 came out, the wheelbase was lengthened from a 356 a couple inches, but by today's standards, it's still very short, and it's a very quick turning car. It has a little bit of oversteer, but very minor. The other advantages, it's very easy to maintain. The range is tremendous because it has the same tank as a 911, which is a little over 16 gallons, and that will get you in the 400-mile range between fill-ups. 4 or 5 years ago, my wife and I were talking, and my wife said, we better do something with this car. If we don't do it now, it's just not going to happen. And I have a good friend of mine, John Benton, who's another 912 fanatic, and he has a performance shop. We started with the engine, and so he has a proprietary set of pistons and cylinders that we went with. He has his own distributor, which has been recurved to optimize the 912. We went back and stuck with the Solex carburetors with one modification. We sent them out to a company who rebuilds them, and they put what's called solid shaft throttles in it, which makes it more drivable. It got a new muffler. The muffler is a Bursch system, and it has a bolt-on muffler because you can unbolt it and put on a stinger for racing. The other thing about it is, I call it a time machine. When you get in it, it's almost like you're back in that era. because the cars are so simple by today's standards. To me, that's the old sports car feel. It's a fun experience. Just coincidentally, I bumped into my old friend Stuart, my coworker that I bought the car from. Stuart said, "You still have my old car?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, if you ever want to sell it, I'd like it back, because I promised my daughter if she went to college, I was going to give it to her before I ever sold it to you." They came over and they looked at it. We talked about selling it, and he goes, "Let me think about it." So my family found out, and everyone in my family started telling me, "Don't do it. Don't sell it. You're going to regret this." And I listened to him, and he called me the next day and said, "Okay, let's do it. I'm ready to buy it." And I said, "I'm sorry, Stuart, but my family's had a talk with me, and I can't sell it."